welcome to the weekly meetup with CADAF. I hope you have your drinks ready. I don't. I have a little toy.
I have my fancy glass again.
You have your fancy glass. Good.
Yeah.
I have a cactus.
That works. It's green.
Don't drink that though. Don't do that.
Okay, I will do it.
It can even like make him whoop. All right, Solimán, we had this tradition on having a green and blue cocktail at the CADAF colors. So I have to be creative, but it's good. You have a green cactus, so.
No, okay. I have a little sculpture that I took in Calcutta.
Mm-hmm.
But I will show you because it's really interesting. I will show you.
Elena had an avocado at one point, so.
Oh yeah, that's true. So a cactus is also fine, I think.
Yeah, but
very nice.
See that?
Oh wow! What is that?
It's almost fluorescent. Not it's not a real fluorescent one, but it looks like a pop art and contemporary art piece, you know. And as soon as I see this in a temple in close to Calcutta, I just bought it.
Wow!
But it's really. Amazing.
All right. So I think we have the first wave of people. So we're going to start our weekly happy virtual hour. And as usual, I'm just going to bore you for 3 minutes on the guidelines. I muted you for now, and like the call is recorded. So if you don't want to show your video, you don't have to, but it's a social event, so we're always happy to see more familiar faces and fun backgrounds. Like everybody has like a lot of cool stuff to show, so this is fun. And your CADAF drink or accessory, like today it's a little bit looser than just drinks. So welcome. And before we give the floor to Julia and our guest Solimán, Andrea is just going to give you a few of the hot topics on the upcoming event, CADAF Online.
Thank you, Fanny. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And so we just wanted to let you know that we are less than a month away for CADAF Online. And we are very excited. As we've mentioned before, the registration for collectors and visitors is for free, so we encourage you to register now so that you can start receiving all the updates. We are very excited about how the platform development is going and all the amazing artists that have applied. We're in the process of accepting people on a rolling basis, and our applications are closing June 1st. So if you are interested, please contact us, or we hope to see you there. And I think I'll just let Solimán take the ground because I'm very excited about this talk.
Good, yes, I am too. So I just wanted to welcome everyone and Solimán. I think, Solimán, obviously we are delighted that you are with us. I think you are a well-recognized artist. You've won many awards, you've done many exhibitions, and you've done a lot of talks as well. And currently, I just wanted to say, that you are now with your studio in Paris. Your studio is it's called Updated Art Studio, where you're also splitting your time between Paris and Valencia, in the innovation department of the Art and Technology school. I didn't know how to translate Escuela Superiora, but it's kind of like a university.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about sort of your work and the development of your work throughout the years. But I wanted to start with a question, and so you can tell me if it's right or not. But if I were to describe you as an artist, if I'd say that you, as an artist, sort of explore social changes through contemporary technology, would that be a fair summary? Obviously, there is more, but as a start, do you Do you find yourself in this thought?
I think that everything now is connected in a way. So for me to be a contemporary artist in the 21st century, it's more like a person who is taking into account what is happening in your real environment. That means that new technology, it's part of our common life. Mostly of the part of the contemporary art environment I'm not focused on that, and on that that's something that I really don't understand. And it's because I think that my work is quite related with society, but not in a direct way, because finally my work is more related. It seems that it's more related to technology than society, but at the end, sorry, it's the same, because now everything is melted, everything is fixed, everything is blended with the new technologies. And it's because I think that thanks to new technology, we can even respond many other questions that are very important in our society in this moment, even in our psychological behavior in many other ways. Because, for example, social networks are one of the most important, interesting areas of working for understanding what means, for example, selfies, what mean narcissism, what means all those kind of things that has been part of the studies of many historical psychologists professionals around the world. And it's because I think that my work is quite related with society, not in a direct way, but in a transversal point of view. I think I'm touching really important things that we have to talk about, we have to avoid today, because are part of our future. Technology is not only one thing that will come, that has come for visit us, but for stay with us for a long period of time. And anyway, I think that technology is part of ourselves. I always mention that our genetic code, it's itself a code. It's a code that is done with 4 elements, and the digital is now binary. So as soon as we can multiply by 2 the opportunities and the futures of digital, we will get exactly the same composition that we have in our blood. So I think that we are closer to technology more than we think about. More than we can even imagine.
So is that, so in basically the inspiration of your work, is it to actually combine sort of our everyday lives and our experiences, so from a psychological point of view, but also, from a science point of view, like the genetic code, with the technology that we have available today? And then I also want to give an example of an artwork of yours that I really like with artificial intelligence. But I wanted to know if I understood correctly about what you just said about sort of combining the technology of today with, who we are effectively.
I think that technology, it's coming back to us. I mean, for example, in a specific project, the Hard Disk Museum, that you can visit in harddiskmuseum.com, I found a museum stored that is stored in a hard drive of 2 terabytes. It's a museum of digital art. It's a museum that is based on files that are not only videos or not only image, but any kind of file that you can store in a hard drive. That means that any kind of files that we can use today. And why I'm talking about this project, because now, for example, we are working very hard about how we can store this information into genetic code. So if everything goes okay, next month, at the end of July, we are going to visit a laboratory in Germany that will help us to create a 3D printed version of the museum with the genetic code of the hard drive itself. So it's a conversion of the index of the hard drive that is full of new media art and digital art that has been organized and created by me with my curatorial team. And all those information will come back to a genetic code, will come back in a way to something that is organic. And obviously the ideas that are spread, that are growing up from the brains from many other artists, they are coming back to their own nature. They are coming back to nature as we know it. So for me, it's only one example about how technology it's going to be part of ourselves. For me, the future will be dedicated not only that we can speak that we can name as wearables technologies, but part of ourselves into ourselves, into our genetic code, into our blood. In fact, now we are let's say we have embedded the information of digital art. For example, if I tell you if you can imagine some kind of room with a wireframe effect, only with lines, with a black background, you can imagine it in your face, in your brain, because you have in your imaginary, you have films like Matrix, or you have many other science fiction imaginary in your brain. But if you talk with your grandmother cannot imagine this kind of three-dimensional space. So the new technology, it's already inside us. It's already in our view. It's already in our sight. And it's because we are already like some kind of cyborgs in our perception in this point. So the future will be more we will touch on not only the sense of view, but all the rest of our senses.
How did the idea of the hard disk museum came to you? Is it because you wanted to move away from the traditional idea of a museum that has to be, sort of a physical space, sort of an architecture of some sort, like a building?
So from the very beginning, I imagine, because I was working very hard from my early stage of my personal production. I thought I recovered that all the time I was working with some important thing in our life, that the name is a file. So I mean, when I'm a photographer, that I'm what is working with Photoshop or whatever software we can mention, the artwork is construct at the same point that you make save as. In that moment is when the digital artwork exists. And my reflection was, can we find a cultural structure that is taking into account the situation? And in that moment, in 2015, obviously the big one institution as the MoMA or the ZKM in Karlsruhe and so on, other important museums specialized in digital art or in contemporary art in general, they have like their department, their conservation department, but in that moment doesn't exist in a structure that's named itself as a museum of digital art, of files. And it's because I began with this idea of I began inviting some artists to the museum. Obviously, all the artists that were working with this new media technology with files. Obviously, they are very proud to be part of the project, because finally it's like a tribute of one of our main tool of thinking and production. That was one of the first point of view about the project. And the conclusions was like that, for example, that we don't need an architectural structure, as you say, for storing digital art. And today, with this crisis of the COVID-19, I think that this kind of a structure, this kind of proposal makes more sense than ever, because now finally technology has shown how the contemporary art in general has a lot of problems to be displayed in this kind of situations. So for me, I think the digital art is closer. It's more close to the, to the original idea that we have in our brain, because finally everything is possible. And in the other hand, we can imagine whatever we want thanks to digital, thanks to virtuality, and we are not pressed for the production, for the material production. So in terms of art, I think that we are dealing with one of the most important opportunities in terms of creativity of the humankind.
And, you know, talking a little bit about art production as well, and sort of your art production. So you've been working with artificial intelligence, but there's one work that I particularly liked, and there might be another one that you will also like to share with us. I don't know, but the one that I'm thinking is high meshes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can describe it a little bit, but I wanted to also ask you in general how artificial intelligence has influenced your practice throughout the years. For example, this is just one work that I think it's worth showing if you like, because I think it's just my.
Let me share you the screen. I don't know what are you watching now, because because the screen is moved. Are you watching the Google website, or are you watching what?
No, now it's a wide screen. Local host, yeah.
What? Okay, I'm here. Okay, so yeah, because I want to talk about high meshes projects, and I think it's a good idea to show exactly what we're talking about. For me, artificial intelligence is not only a technology itself. For me, it's one of the most important tools of production of the 21st century. When the humans begins to create some kind of creative content. I mean, for example, in these ancient caves with spreading some kind of ink into the hand for creating some stamp into the walls. From the very beginning of how we can create like an artistical object for make some kind of production. After this, we name it as a painting. After that, we name it as a sculpture, a photograph, a video, whatever. And we are now artificial intelligence. For me, artificial intelligence is now at the same level of a painting, of a sculpture, because finally you will see like some kind of white canvas that in this case is obviously is a digital canvas where you can display everything. And in the other hand, it's not only a question of how we can display information in this white canvas. It's about how we can collaborate with the machine, and that's the most important point of view in my case. And for example, in the concrete and exactly talking about exactly about high meshes, the idea was to create like a micro community of real people who was 3D scanned with a system done with this dome. Here on the right side, you can see the installation in Valencia. I don't know if it is, you can see, maybe it's here. Here it's the installation. Here we install around 100 cameras for taking pictures, 100 pictures at the same time of the same object, that in this case it was a person. With this information, thanks to photogrammetry, I can reconstruct the volume of this person to create a 3D model. And after this, with this micro community, we feed a software with artificial intelligence. That this software makes the connection in between the bodies, not taking into account the color of the skin, but the social status or the religious point of view of those kind of people, the sexuality. It's only taking into account the raw information of our bodies that are registered as in digital. And that is the point that I'm collaborating with the machine. The machine now I'm trying to make the machine capable to create a new categorization of humankind. And it's for me, that's the most important point of view of this artificial intelligence project in this case. For example, here in the project, in high meshes, we did this performance that takes place in the museum. And after this, I play with the sculptures, with the composition that comes from the machine, for creating different animations, for creating different prints, real prints. For example, here you can see the example. You can see the scale of this print that is printed in acrylic, in white transparent acrylic. And in the right side here, you can see like an animation to see in detail how this structure it's analyzed by the machine and how those bodies becomes data. This is for me the most important point of view, as I said, is that the artificial intelligence is coming for helping us to understand a new world of relationships in between technology and ourselves. Now we are working with a new project that is based on artificial intelligence. That we are creating the DAI project. I don't know where I have this. I should find it here. I will do it quickly. And in this case, I'm creating like a new identity document that it's created for the artificial intelligence machine. So in this case, it's based on very common technique that the name is GAN, that is creating like machine learning with more than 3,000 identity documents of people all around the world. And we are pushing the machine to create like a new identity document. And obviously what grows in this project that we are working on now, it grows that what's the sense of the frontier, what's the sense of the borders in the 21st century thanks to technology. If an artificial intelligence is capable to create even like a document of identity. So this is one of the projects that we are working on. We have another one. The name is KOI. And we are creating like a new religion about what means text, about the imaginary of sculptures, what about architecture, and all those information are taken into account thanks to artificial intelligence.
There is I saw a question popping up related to one of the project that Solimán just showed us now. Is it okay if I ask the question now?
Of course, you say it first.
Karina is asking, how did you get access to these identity documents?
We make exactly the technique. It's a web scraper. It's like a bot that is searching for this information in many webs all around the internet. So this bot is downloading automatically those files. There is a couple of companies. I cannot say the name, but they have this database of information that it's available for. You have to pay for. So we get some support with an open call, and we buy this information for feed the system of the machine learning.
Thank you. So you said that artificial intelligence for you is now fundamental because it sort of creates a new relationship between ourselves and the machine. So different to my CADAF colleagues who are much more knowledgeable about new media art and technology, I still consider myself a little bit of a newbie, but I'm learning fast. But then, what is virtual reality? Is that then a way to, rather than creating a new relationship with us and the machine, is it allowing us to create a completely new, different sort of space?
Yeah,
from our reality?
For me, in fact, I'm finalizing my first essay that talks about new technology and society. In this book, I am proposing the terminology virtuality, that it's the mixture in between virtual and reality. And what I'm proposing this term, this topic, it's because I think that now we are now our generation, it's comparing both terminology. It's comparing what means virtuality and what means reality. But in the future, I think that the new generation this separation of terms will not happen anymore. Because where is the virtuality? If you can buy a book in Amazon, in 3 hours you get the book at your home. There's no virtuality. Everything is happening. Everything is real. Everything is happening. And it's because this kind of practice will tell us that in the future, we'll have no division in between both spaces.
Both worlds, sort of those spaces, yeah.
Exactly. So I think that you should speak about virtuality, And for example, I always take the same example. I will always offer the same example. I can tell you how is your point of view about New York, about Paris, about Milano, sorry, about any of your cities. Now you have a virtuality because you have your own experience about the environment, and you have this point of view that comes from Google Street Map that gives you another point of view of your city. That gives you like a bird point of view of this space.
Yeah.
And in this case, you are mixing the reality that comes from the digital and the reality and your own reality that you are experimenting in your current day. So in this point, we are already dealing with this reality. But in the classic way of understanding virtual reality, I think that the most important thing that we have to take into account is the concept about narration or narrativity, because now in virtual reality, the camera is in the middle of the scenario, it's in the middle of the space, and everything is happening all around us. So it's that in terms of production, in my own practice, for example, when I made some pieces with this technology, we focus our attention in that point, because normally when you use a camera, you are behind the camera and everything is happening in front of. So it's a very important thing. Anyways, my conclusion is that now we are making this comparison between reality and virtuality, but in the future we'll mix all together, hopefully. Let's see, maybe with the terms of virtuality.
Solimán, I actually have a question myself. I mean, we've been discussing a lot, you know, like with the name CADAF, and we're always talking about digital art. And at the beginning, everybody was like, okay, there's traditional art and digital art, and now it's kind of like, I mean, and again, we're not trying to define what it is, like, because I personally think it's too early, but more like show the diversity of the experimentations, but. Like, I'm wondering what you think about, like, you know, what from what you've said, like it's kind of an outdated, you know, like split terminology. Yeah, but so I was wondering what you saw about that, and what digital art mean, you know, or if it doesn't mean anything anymore.
For me, digital art, it's everything, because even a painter now is taking picture from internet. It's taking reference for internet. So the source of information is coming from the screen, and the reference is coming from their phone, because they are taking picture of any details of the street and wherever it happened in their lives. So for me, digital art, it's a very huge, it's a very long term terminology, sorry, a topic that it's holding a lot of different productions. But anyway, I think it's correct. But in the other hand, I think I'm suffering the idea of naming myself as a new media artist, because finally I feel like a contemporary artist, and that's all. Because finally I'm using the tools that are available in my era. I am not doing nothing extraterrestrial, let's say. I think that maybe we should change today the meaning of contemporary art, and we should change what means contemporary art, and we should take into account that many art fairs, I don't want to give some names, but many art fairs are naming themselves as contemporary art fair, but they are not doing contemporary art. They are doing modern art. And that's true, but the problem is the market. But the market is not used they haven't the attitude to buy some kind of object that are intangible, and that's the main problem of this terminology. And finally, this terminology make us be part of the suburbs of the art, and that's a problem. Because finally, I think that my own practice is not the suburbs. My practice is now, I'm talking about the biggest revolution of the humankind ever. So why I have to be like a guy, you know, in a boat, alone in the sea to see what's happening? I think it make no sense. But anyway, digital art is a good terminology. But on the future, I hope that we can say, we are contemporary artists and we are a contemporary art fair, and you are the others, maybe you are not doing contemporary art anymore.
No, thank you. I think we're, and Darcy had a comment that we're talking about art in the digital age, and I think this is a very nice way of saying that. And yeah, like contemporary art has been the same, you know, it's been the same definition for like 60 years. So some things need to go away from that definition to leave space for something new. Thank you for your...
Anyway, because I'm proposing different terminology, because I think that we have to name a lot of things that that are now happening. For example, coming back to the idea of virtual reality, I don't know if you know about the software that was launched by Google. The name is Tilbrush. And with Tilbrush, you can make some kind of trace on the air that has that becomes like a drawing into virtual reality. But how we can spell it? How we can name that? It's like a digital painting. What is this? We have no names to put on top of this art creation. So I think that many things are moving, and we should be alert to find the correct words to apply on top.
Just a comment on what you just said, and I think we had a talk with someone from Christie's a couple of weeks ago, and you know, he was still very much convinced that people buy or collect art, and most of them, they still want the art on the wall, like the physical experience of art. Mm-hmm. Which I think here we all feel it's a little bit outdated. But do you think it's also because you are an artist, but you're also in the educational side of things? And I also think about myself and what I'm discovering now just by, you know, entering the world of digital art. Is it about, there should be out there more education, you know, for collectors and art lovers about new media art? It doesn't seem to me to be as, you know, easily available to everyone, you know, the information, the research, as it is for the more traditional contemporary art.
Yeah, for me, there's many things that we can approach in this case. For example, first thing I have to say is that the word poetry. Many people think that we cannot make poetry with technology, and it's because we feel far away from technology, but we are closer than ever, as I mentioned before. And the first thing we have to do is to give these tools of understanding to people who it's on front of the contemporary art, and that's it's a question of creating a mythology around the digital art. Because, for example, why are you crazy to visit the last exhibition of Van Gogh created for I don't know what kind of museum? It's because you have been reading about Van Gogh during maybe 10 years. And you have like a mythology around the character of Van Gogh that push you to go inside this content. So in one hand, we need to create this mythology around what means digital art and what means the artists that are involved in this material. For example, the Artist Museum I am trying to create a myth around around an object that it's a hard drive that you can have at your home. It's exactly the same as the Duchamp pieces. It's a normal object that becomes an artwork because it's introduced in the museum. So that's one thing, and in the other hand, I think that we should defend the word experience. The art is not a question of having object. It's a question of experience. And the digital art, it's very important in that topic. Because now we, as an artist, we are the digital artists. We are now feeling a lot of programming of festivals, of new media festival, or even music festival. Because now we are very acclaimed for the audience to create experience, and those experience people pay for enter into this experience. Why collectors are not paying for having this experience at home is what we should include in the imaginary of the collector's environment and the collector's people. And in the other hand, we are talking about the avant-garde. The avant-garde, we have always like a décalage, you know, like a décalage of time that will happen, happen always. But the problem with digital art, that it's not a question of today. The digital art is coming from the early 60s. So the problem is that we have a lot of time that this decalage is still here. So that's what is the problem, and why it's why it's the problem about this. It's because the market, it's only focused in objects. But thanks to this coronavirus, we are now experimenting a new position about what means the materialization of culture, the materialization of society, and that is one thing I am defending a lot of. In fact, virtual reality is part of this ecosystem of how we can dematerialize the culture and how we can dematerialize the creation and the art in general. And it's about time. It's about to say this object that is digital costs $1 million. And when that comes, everything will change, because it's exactly the same Anthony did with the Pooh, and exactly what Duchamp did with the Fontaine, and so on. So I think that hopefully this moment should arrive, and I am giving some clues about what I'm talking about, what I'm now thinking about to do. But I think that maybe there are some keywords of my thinking about this.
So this, there were a few comments and questions then on
interesting.
And on the link specifically with between digital art and reality, like Nina said, like digital art expands reality. Like you might have your own like way to define like the relationships, as you explained earlier. But it's also a way, I think, we all come back to that question about consumption of this dematerialized art and age. And I, you know, because I mean, a lot of people said we don't want to live in like, you know, an Apple store with like a lot of, like a Samsung store with a lot of screens, should not name any brands, a TV store with a lot of screens and so on, or like a white cube and so on. So I wanted to ask you your opinion on the way, like the new way of consumption. And
the new way of consumption, I think that the future will surprise us. I even can imagine some kind of design drug that you can take, and you can imagine some kind of experience in your brain that, and nothing is real, nothing is happening in the real world, but it's an experience that you can take whatever you want. But obviously that's the future for me. But today I think that the digital art, as the other arts, happens when you are displaying those pieces. If you have a room with the light turned off and everything is black, you cannot see a painting. So it's exactly the same as you can push play with a video. And if you talk about with psychologists, the creative experience, the art experience lasts around 3-4 minutes, for example, in front of a canvas. More than that is very complicated for the brain. Keep the attention and experiment and continue to experiment a good content. Thanks to digital art, and thanks to moving image, we can even experiment more time this sensation, this brain segregation of feelings. So that's one point. And in the other hand, I think that finally it's not about having a Apple Store display at home, but it's how we can connect our real world with this digital production. And for me, that's the point. For me, it's, for example, augmented reality will be one of the most important technologies of the future, in terms not only about contemporary creation, but communication. And everything is becoming part of our real space. And this connection in between both spaces, I think that should be the future. It's the same than with a canvas, but without the canvas. Well, I think that should be more or less this mixed reality that will come in a few years, that will deal with this situation, or will deal with this idea of gallery that we can find in the future.
Thank you. We have, I think before we open up to more questions, we have a few more minutes to chat. And I actually had a question on another work that we, also you and I talked about before, just when we were on a call, you and I, which is Celeste. And it's a work that I also think it's, I don't know, it's particularly relevant also at these times, but it really, it's, for me, the fundamental thing is unification through that work. And, you know, you can tell us a little bit about maybe the challenges of the work and the meaning of it. But unification through digital art is what resonated for me the most when we spoke about this artwork. And I don't know if you wanted to share maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, for me, finally, I think that thanks to new media, thanks to new communication tools, I think that we are creating communities as ever. This sensation of community, I think that it's a very good important point about in technology, because we have many different communities, and as humans we can be part of different communities at the same time. If you can imagine the ancient humankind, if you are part of one community and that's all, you are part of one community, a small community, a big family, but you cannot be part of different ones. And now, thanks to technology, we can be part of many different communities, even from in a micro section that we can create into WhatsApp, for example, like a group of people that are your friends, of your school friends, or your family, or new people that you find. So we can create this sensation of micro communities. And why not art? And it's one of my focus. Why cannot art? We can create, thanks to art, this kind of micro communities as well. And it's what's one of my main obsessions. It's about this. For example, the Artists Museum, it's a community itself. Now we are more than 150 artists, and we are improving the collection. We are improving the participation into the museum. The High Messes project, it's another community. With the project Grid, that we take the data from telephones to modulate an audiovisual symphony. I take the phone, the Wi-Fi phone data in real time. For example, I will find this piece, for example. For example, those other examples that I gave are talking about the same. But at the same time, these micro communities are not only part of this ecosystem, but they are part of this ecosystem in different levels of participation. For example, in Grid, I take the information in a passive mode, in a passive way, because people are only around the piece, and I take their Wi-Fi signal from their phones to modulate an audiovisual symphony. And for example, in High Messes, I push them to be naked in the system. So the participation, the level of involvement into the artwork, it's totally different. And it's another thing that is important. And another word that I would like to mention is the word presence. For me, the idea of present, I think is very important to understand what means digital art. And in fact, coming back one more time to virtual reality, is the industry now is trying to find a way of how we can include the sensation of people inside the virtual reality space. And if, for example, in Celeste, we make something similar. We have different beacons distributed in different countries. But now we are working between Spain and Colombia for and register the sky in real time thanks to those beacons, this object that you can see here. And those beacons are sending in real time image to my server, and the server takes the colors of the sky. And this is the final aspect of the skies, for example, in between Madrid and Paris, between Madrid and Bogota, between Madrid and Cali, that happens in real time. So you can see here in the website. I suggest you to visit. In fact, tomorrow we have a meeting talking about this. And here, for example, now we have the sky of Madrid that is here on the left side, and the sky of Bogota that is here on the right side. And this is the interface that is taking 10 colors of each city on real time, and it's taking everything inside, and it's creating this sensation of a digital sky in real time. And here we have another community, and here we have the presence of those skies that are alive into one similar space, into one unique space that it's this website. Well, it's I love to hear this question from you, because I think that's it's a very important question of my work about how we can create community not only in the different levels of participation. In this case, we are creating a community of actors as well, because we are now working with more than 10 institutions to make this project alive, because we need to install the beacon. Thanks to this, I put in contact Casa America with the Planetario in Bogota and with my studio here in Paris. So I create like some kind of community, etc.
Is it an independent project, or is it, Claire is asking if it's supported or sponsored by companies or government?
By the moment, this is supported by my government, by the Minister of Culture of my government. We have a department. The name is AECI, that is the agency, Spanish Agency for International Culture, let's say, and the Embassy of Spain in Colombia. So by the moment now, they had created the connection in between both spaces. And now the plan is to grow the community with more than 10 different countries. I open the opportunity, if you are interested in being part of the project, we can chat on private, because we want to spread the beacons all around the world for still connecting the skies thanks to digital art.
I'll put one in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Why not? For sure.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
An example really of it could really be like like a decentralized project. Like when you think about it, there's this project called the foam.space. I don't know if you know of that project. It's like it's a GPS project without satellites or government satellites. So it's it works with beacon that like people install, but individuals, like anybody, you, me, yeah, no, this is
well, that's the point. The idea is to install the beacons in art centers, to focalize the idea on a cultural project. But we have all opened the opportunity as well for particular people to join the project, to know how everything is done from the inside, because I really believe on the open source of one of the most important words for the future of technology and for the evolution of technology. And in fact, we have some different workshops during the next couple of weeks in Colombia for analyzing the data that the beacon is taking is registering to create different artworks to connect this idea not only with the digital art, but maybe with environment, with this global problem about climate and so on.
Can I ask you actually how we talked a little bit about how COVID-19 has put more emphasis on the dematerialization of culture, but how did it impact you directly or with your work and process?
I said that in a way, in my day-by-day life, change has changed not too much, because normally I work in my studio. I have part of my studio, as you mentioned before, here in Paris, and the other part is Madrid and in Valencia as well. We have online with many other people that, for example, with a guy in Argentina, another one in the USA. So it depends in that way. In terms of work, I think things are in the same point. But in my current practice, I feel more comfortable than ever, because now I feel that people has really understand that we are doing now. People has really understand how the weight of the digital art, a specific way that the digital art has in their material. In fact, nothing is untouchable in a way, because information is going through cables. But I feel more comfortable than ever. I think that should be one response, valid response from this question. In terms of concept, I think that people will be more open than ever as well to be part of this ecosystem, to be part of, to enjoy this experience of technology, because people now think that technology help us or help them in a way, because thanks to technology, we stay in touch with the other, and we put like a little, we put a little part of our heart today in technology, thanks to these communication tools that we are enjoying now.
I'm always debating, like I can't still figure out, and maybe you or anybody in the audience has an idea, if I have a longer attention span now or shorter than ever, like, and I can't decide one or the other. Maybe it depends on the day, but I personally got way more into like the work of artists and spend more time like reading about their practice than before somehow, and I do very much enjoy and hope that this is kind of the case for more people.
Yeah. Finally, I think we will experiment like a changing of our brain itself, because now all of us we are impacted for digital information more than ever, because it's the main source of information that we have at home. And as definition, the digital, it's a multitask, multi-screen, multi-notification, multi-batch. So I think things will change, not only in our current society and economy, but inside ourselves, in the way that we look the world and the way that we feel connected or unconnected with the others. That is a challenge, for sure. It's a challenge, and it's because I told you, that I feel more comfortable than ever, because now I feel that I have to stay in this point of work, in this topic. As an artist, I think the opportunities in terms of inspiration are limited now.
Yeah, and Ame commented that our attention span is getting affected by being inundated with so much information, and our brains are evolving, and we're evolving right now. Yeah, and I think you also have to learn how to control that. Like, I mean, now I refuse to listen to Trump or any, political statements, because that literally ruins my day. So it's how to filter and yeah. So.
Yeah, that's complicated, and the problem is that information is now an economical coin, and when we talk about information, we talk about communication, because both are almost the same, and that's the problem. The problem is that we are making money of information. And in that way, everything is politicized. You go to Twitter and you can see that there are many chatbots that you think that are chatbots, but they're not chatbots anymore. There are people that are paid in the real world for making comments against one politician and so on. So we have to take care about this. And I think that the solution it's one more time comes from the creation of small micro communities for making some change. For example, there are many people who said, no, I don't want to use Facebook because Facebook take my data, and Facebook take my information, and I receive some commercial product 5 minutes ago. Okay, now the algorithm of Twitter, it's open source. You can create a Twitter if you want. You can create a social network in 1 week if you want. So let's do it. So I think that we are more controlled than ever, but we have more doors than ever. So I think that the point is that we have to use those doors to feel free one more time. And we have the opportunity to do that. And one more time, we have to speak about the word education. For me, the future of the education, one of the most important things is that the code, it's a language itself and will be as important as speak Spanish, as speak English, as speak Russian, as speak Chinese. So I think that in the schools will be one of the lessons to learn, because I think that should be the future to really understand and to create, to open those doors that are available right now.
And they're already called languages. So in a sense, we've already accepted that in a sort of weird shape in our mind.
And in fact, we have another kind of learning now about language. The name is emoticons. The future of emoticons, the future of our communication is the image itself. Well, I have my own point of view about this. Maybe it's quite futurist, but the future will be based on sending image to the others to get information. So because I spend a lot of time speaking to explain something. So if I give you some 3 images, maybe you will understand it very easily.
Yeah, and Darcy said like the Chinese won this way thousands of years ago. So
yeah,
yes.
and the Egyptians.
And it's very true. I mean, and it's memes as well.
Zoomers.
Like, you know, it's
zoomers.
In a way, like, you know, emojis and emoticons and memes are already,
sure.
you know, like.
In fact, the technology we are talking about, for example, when people, when I make some kind of conference or talks, and people ask me what means, for example, augmented reality, I speak about augmented reality from the very beginning. The very beginning of augmented reality are the subtitles in a film. When you are watching a film and you see that the language is translated in real time with a text, that is augmented reality, because the reality is the media was created from the very beginning with no subtitles, and over that you can see a new digital information, and we are now experimenting the newborn of those technology. In fact, the emojis and emoticons, I think that's are this base level of a new way of communication.
So we're becoming more technological, but we're going back to the origins effectively. So
yeah, for me now we have no point. No, there's no point. There's no returning point. There's no returning point. For me, I said that now, in fact, I have an exhibition, the name of Skinning. I talk about this exhibition. I talk about the limits that we are now in the border of becoming and augmenting humans, or Homo sapiens sapiens humans. On the future, we should decide where we want to be, because there's no option to be in the middle of. We should make one step further or one step back. So I think that we have to take care. We have to think about this in a very intern point of view, because, for example, if I don't know if here, I know that someone has child, for example, as mother or as father, you should think about what is the position of this new generation in this topic, because the future will be maybe with a chip here to see where we are, and you have to decide if you want to include your child into the system, or to put it, or to keep it safe outside. So it's a very challenged future that we are now reaching up.
Thank you, Solimán. We've come up to our hour, so I think it's time to say goodbye.
Unfortunately, I mean, I had 1,000 more questions.
I was going to say I could go on for another hour. This is so interesting, but we can do another one.
I don't know, maybe bounding box. This is Singami. Let me see. For example, I will talk about
I shared the link. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So this is
I shared the links.
I really recommend you to go inside this section because it's a sound piece, and we did this artwork in the Kronos Art Center in Shanghai. We create a wooden box with some kind of solenoid motors inside that was traced with my virtual world, my virtual body that was registered with motion capture that you can see here. I move myself here to make some kind of playing with the space and so on. And as soon I touch the borders of the visual box, in fact, in 3D, the specific name is a bounding box. As soon as I touch these borders, as you can see in red, when these spaces are in red, the box it's percuting, it's hitting inside. So people really understand that someone is inside the box, but there's nobody inside the box. There's people that was unregistered in digital, that was the data, the body data was took with the system. It's a system that is used in technologies as avatar. And this is the trick. Inside the box, we have like this solenoid that hits the box as soon as I touch the border into the digital. Well, I did this artwork in China with all the political influence that they have inside, that they have in China, because, as you know, in China, people works in a very small boxes. They make some kind of mechanical work to seem like machines. And they are, at the same time, they are creating the technology of the rest of the world. So I did this piece there. You can, for example, visit it. I have other pieces. For example, if I have time, I can show it up. For example, this is inverse triangulation that recognize my position in the world in real time in the exhibitions with an interface. This is the interface. There is a countdown with 4 minutes and 33 seconds. It's a tribute of the silence of John Cage. When the clock reach the number 0, the system looks from my position in the world, a system with a text-to-speech algorithm verbalize my position in latitude and longitude in real time and breaks the silence. This is talking about how technology, we cannot be in silence thanks to technology, because technology is talking for us all the time, because we are traced, we are tracked, we are all the time registered on the real world. And I have different version of the artwork. I have this sculpture that you can be on top. You can see the interface on your feet. This was in the Mobile World Capital in Barcelona. Voila, this is another artwork. I can show one more. And this is Limbology.
Yes.
Limbology, it's
yes, the last one.
I can say one more or not? Okay. And this is
Limbology.
Go
ahead. One last
yes, we can do one more. Yeah.
Okay. In Limbology, we launched a beacon to the stratosphere with a GPS on board to track the path of the information until the information is lost. And with that data, I create a 3D sculpture, a 3D version of the piece in a 3D software to reconstruct this data into a light sculpture. This is the launch that we did, and this is the path that the beacon did until it's lost, until reach the stratosphere and becomes lost. And it was very curious because there is on the space exists the Karman line that is the limit in between the sky and the space, and the beacon reached that moment and then get lost. So it was very curious because in that moment we reach the space and we get lost, and it's like the limit of the virtuality that it's the real world. It's more or less this kind of relationship in between both worlds. We did it in Burgos in an exhibition, and here is in ISEA 2019 in Korea South Korea. This is the installation in South Korea. Here. Voila, this is limbology. As you can, and you can, for sure, you can visit the Hard Disk Museum. This is the space.harddismuseum.com, and you can see all the collection of the museum in this interface that you can visit. You have almost more than 100
Are you still accepting artists for the museum?
Sorry?
Are you still accepting artists for the museum?
Yeah,
Are
for
you
sure.
still accepting
we have like an open. Yeah. We have a curatorial team that we are all the time looking for new artists for the museum, because the idea is to grow the. I don't like to mention as a collection, but a repository of pieces of new digital art. But yes, we are open. In fact, we are now making a lot of new content for the museum. We are now preparing an exhibition with an application of new media. We are now creating an open call for public participation with based on the idea of peer-to-peer. With digital files. Voilà. We have a lot of new projects with the Hard Disk Museum. It's a very, very, very active project. In fact, in CADAF, you will see a selection of 9 artists from the Hard Disk Museum under the name New Habitat. And we propose to artists to work about the idea of how we can be on top of a new habitat that could be virtual or could be digital or not. So I hope you enjoy this both into CADAF with the Hard Disk Museum.
You missed my next step. I was going to say there's so much more to say about this, but the good thing is we're going to see you at CADAF online, so we can continue the discussion. I shared a few links in the chat while you were presenting, but I will add them to the we'll publish, as usual, the recording on YouTube and on cadaf.art, virtual happy hour. So I will make sure to add some of the links in your website there as well. But
okay, thank you.
We'll hear more from you at CADAF online on the talk and the booth. So there's way more. I know I will be in contact. So
yeah, thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Solimán.
Julia, any final word?
Sorry?
No, thank you. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to share my work. And I hope the people enjoy it. Let's see you on CADAF.
Yes, see you at CADAF.
See you at CADAF. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.